Inspiration Nation, hello, Lee Kemp here for another week on the podcast. Two-man ship this week. Ryan is not with us, but I am here with Jose. How are you doing this week, Mr. Jose?
Very good, thank you, Lee. Very good. Glad to be back after the little that people wouldn't know about the break.
Well, we talked about it, but if people are going through the archive, it will be seamless. But yes, we bulk recorded, so it's actually been, 3 weeks since we caught up face to face.
Yeah, and something special's happened over those 3 weeks, hasn't it, Lee?
Oh, what did you get up to?
Not me.
Correct.
I think you need to share with the nation.
I am now a married man, and I was not last time we recorded.
Yeah, wonderful, yeah. And off-air, Lee was telling me how wonderful it was. But yeah, how are you feeling right now all about it, all of it? Just give the nation a little bit of a...
I'm feeling fantastic. The only thing is I am still suffering slightly of a little bit of jet lag and stay up far too late and then struggle to get up in the morning. But I'm sure by this time next week that will have all sorted itself out.
That is the commitment that is Lee. That is he's jet lag. He's still here. You got congratulations from Hader.
Thank you, appreciate that.
On the TikTok.
Appreciate that, Hader. Fabulous. Thank you very much.
You're amazing. It's really good. That's great. Look at that. Brilliant. Yeah. So I can let you carry on, Lee, but I really love the fact that you're now a married man, joining the club. We've only got Ryan now to be married.
Yeah, we'll get on that with him, won't we? Getting on him when he eventually turns up for the podcast. We can sort him out.
He'll hear that as well, by the way. He'll hear that.
That's why I said it. That is why I said it. Of course, we love you, Ryan. Right.
Of course we do. We love you so much.
I believe, Jose, that I am the man with the talking stick this week. Is that right?
You certainly are.
And I tell you, a few weeks ago, maybe last week, I don't know where we got to in our bulk. This is the trouble. When you record like 4 episodes in 2 weeks, it all gets a bit blurry. But I teased you with a number of topics. And I've started doing this. Because I random as where you can, I'll start to have an idea that pops in my head. I'm that'll be a good podcast, and then I start to flesh it out a bit in my mind, and by the time the podcast starts I've completely forgotten it. So I've started writing them in the notes on my phone. So I'll give you a choice, Jose. I know which one you're going to go for. You've been keen, but
you've done this. You keep giving me choices. I don't know if I like this. I feel a bit uncomfortable because it's like I like it. Well, I'm just going to do this, but no, go on, Lee. Go on.
You got the 3 C's.
Yeah.
Which is what I teased you with a few weeks ago. Or you've got, my title is The Safety of Where We Sleep.
Oh, I like both of these, really. I'm going to go for 3 C's because I had the choice to start with the other one last time, so I'm going 3 C's on this one. But cool. I really like the sound of the other one too.
We'll have to wait for that. That'll be in a little while. So, the 3 C's, the concept of this is 3 things that me, right now, as a soon-to-be 41-year-old man, this Friday, by the way, Jose, just in case you need to
Happy
know
birthday in advance for Friday. I'll make sure I send you a message.
In fact, that'll be the day this goes out on the audio feed for everybody. So today is my birthday, we can say. I like that. But as a soon-to-be 40-year-old man, these are 3 things that I wish I could take and give to my younger self when I was, say, 20. Let's say 21 to make it kind of round of what we're doing. 3 C's. Number 1, confidence. And I think this, if you'd have asked me if I was confident about myself when I was 21, I'd have probably said yes. I'd have probably half meant it, but I definitely would remember a feeling when I was younger, looking at people sometimes who were older, who were finding confidence and thinking that I was quite confident myself. And I can look back now and know that I didn't have the self-assurance that I do have now in myself. And I think confidence, and it's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. And what I'm not talking about is just foolhardy self-belief or believing I'm the best or etc, but an inner belief in myself. And I wish I had the amount I have of that. I was careful to start using some of the other C's there. How I feel about that in myself and my willingness to put myself out there or try things or believe in my ability to deliver. I wish I could take the amount of that I've got now and like pour that into myself when I was 20, because not having that, I think, holds you back from, taking chances, putting yourself out there, etc. I dare say in another 20 years time, I'll probably be saying, God, the amount I've got now, I wish I could have given them to myself when I was 40. But I definitely think it takes time to build it. I think there's no way around it. It comes through experience, and I don't know how you expedite it, but I wish I could push that back on myself. The second of these three C's that I wish I could impart down the line to myself, and it ties onto it, is comfort. So linked with the confidence is the comfort in myself and who I am as a person and where I fit in and how people see me, how I see other people, etc., etc. Just being comfortable with myself, what I want to do, what I like to do, that my ambitions and my goals and what I see as success might not be what someone else sees, and that's absolutely fine. And just being comfortable being me and being happy doing the things I want to do and striving to do them. And so these overlap with each other. It fits with the confidence, but definitely that, the comfort in me being me rather than, and I talked about this on previous podcasts, but definitely a view of a need to fit in and there's a way to be and I need to be like that because everyone else is like that, and realising that's not the case and actually just without saying comfortable being me again. I'll take a pause for a second because I've rattled through two and I've not even asked you for your input, Joe. So confidence, number one, and from your perspective, you as a 74-year-old man as you are now, looking back down the line, how do you feel your confidence is now compared to where you were younger, and would it maybe have helped or hindered if you felt differently when you were younger?
So thanks, Lee, for my age, telling my real age out there. Really appreciate that for starters.
This lays into number two. You have to be comfortable with this, Joe. Put it out there.
Yeah, I am very comfortable. Thank you, Lee, for that. So confidence, it's a strange one, that, isn't it? Because I do feel much more confident now. Even when it wasn't long ago that I didn't feel that confident. You know what I'm talking about when we were working together last time. Yes. I wasn't very confident at all. I had strong purpose, but not much confidence to deliver that purpose, and it took a lot of time to build that. So I would say to you, my confidence depends on the area where I am. So, but I'm much more confident now, like you say, than I was when I was younger. And when I was younger, it was about the people that I surrounded myself with. And I explained this before about the friends that I had. Friends impacted that confidence and actually drained that confidence. And this is why it's a really important message that when you're younger, Ryan's age or younger, is that you surround yourself with people that are going to help you be confident. And you need to distance yourself from people that aren't helping you become confident or undermining your confidence. So my perspective on this is that yes, I'm much more confident now. I'm older, and it does take time. It takes time, but I think there's also another side to this where just because you're older doesn't necessarily mean you're confident. Because I've come across older people that aren't confident. There were areas where my mum, bless her, was not confident, depending on what the area was. There are other areas where she was very confident. Even my dad, there's areas that they're confident in, and areas they're not. But I definitely think, as a general rule, that confidence does come out. You're more, I think, as you get older, you're more. This is what I found as my personal experience, a personal perspective, and what I've been observing. You're more likely to speak your mind, I think, without so many filters. That's what I found, and I've noticed it in because I converse with older generations like myself, like you said, Lee, right? So, but I have noticed
when you're sitting around in a nursing home waiting for like the pills and stuff to come round,
that's right, waiting for your tour out, getting on the bus and waiting for your your tea out and everything, right? But I have noticed that. But what I'm mindful of is that again with the confidence thing is that although I can speak my mind, I am very conscious that I have to do it in a way which is non-judgmental and that helps the situation rather than hinders it. So it is, like you say, a real fine line between confidence and arrogance, and it's really important that we don't step over that line.
Yeah.
So that for me is the confidence part of me. Yes, I feel more confident, but I've got to make sure there's a check on it that it doesn't slip over into arrogance, or I could become too unconfident. Like I think you and Ryan talked about before, the pendulum swings. You enter an area sometimes. Oh, I don't feel confident at all. How do I boost it? Oh, I'm really confident here. How do I sort of bring it back a little bit? That doesn't, so I'm not
settle into the middle.
Yeah. So it's you're always constantly, I think, measuring it internally. But no, you're right. As generally, if you're going to ask me, yes, I feel more confident now than I did when I was younger. If that answers your question.
It does. I just wanted your views. And like you said, there's different areas where you are on. I say overall in myself I am, but then there will, if you put me into a completely alien situation, that's different. So it will be situational depending what's going on. But I think overall, that's a lot more now. Second, the comfort is the second. I think it overlaps. You know, you said you had friends who would knock down your confidence. You're obviously, as well as being more confident, you're a lot more comfortable in yourself, what you want to do, who you want to be. You know, we talked a few weeks ago about the whole Joe to Jose thing, and, you know, that comfort in your heritage and who you want to be and how you want to be identified. So same thing, I suppose. Looking back, are you more comfortable in yourself, less comfortable in yourself? Do you think you could have benefited from being more comfortable in your own skin in your younger days?
Do you know what? Yes. I think when you're younger, again, I told you before on this that I didn't want to stand out. Like, I was quite good at certain things, but I would hide that because I didn't want to stand out, right? Because once you stand out, you become a target, right? So, and that kind of links with confidence, to be fair. You know, if you're confident, then you don't mind being the target, you can handle it, right? So now I don't mind it where I'm the target because we've had it, don't we, on the podcast, right?
I only ever speak the truth, Joe. Oh, your external feedback. Is this the poo content comment?
You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. yeah. So, you know, that we've had people in our lives, didn't we? Giving us a bit of hassle, a bit of grief.
Yes.
But had that happened when I was younger, I probably destroyed me, like, if that had happened. But now, because, like you said, Lee, more comfortable with what I represent in myself, and like you said, like before I would not want to hide my heritage, because in those days, back with the days that I'm talking about, like you're talking about the 70s and 80s, we weren't so there was not so much cultural diversity awareness, or, you know, it was a bit more, you would feel on the edge if you had something a bit different, right? But now I think, you know, looking back, I should have really owned it, but you just haven't got the confidence. It links the comfort, links the confidence, I think. So now I'm much more confident about my comfort, where I sit. I know what I'm here to do. I know what I'm here on this planet to do. And that for me has been a massive comfort. And I've been able to speak my truth in front of many, many people. Again, that comes with confidence because of where you truly are. And that's the work I talked to you about when I was talking about the M. Carmichael book of Your One Word and Built to Serve. I now know where I am most, what I represent and what my job here on this planet is to do. I'm really aware of it now, but it took a lot of work to get there because I had to go through mental health, like we talked about on the podcast. I had to go through very challenging times, but did the work, and that was the missing. Was my purpose was missing, and now I have that purpose, and now I'm quite happy. If someone says to me, "What are you passionate about?" Coaching. That's it. Love it. You know, and I'll tell people about it without actually going, oh, you know, not trying to hide it. So I'm just going to say, if people don't like it, that's okay. Before I would probably have gone, okay, I'm not sure whether you like it or not. I really do care about whether you like it or not, and I don't want you not to care because I like to be liked, and none of that comes into play anymore. I still like to be liked, but I'm more accepting of the fact that not everyone's going to like it, but that's okay. And that's the comfort, and I'm very happy. And this is why we do this podcast, right? Because the podcast is about coaching, it's about personal development, it's about stretching, and you have to face those things to stretch. And I've definitely found since doing the podcast that I'm definitely much more comfortable. Every time we do an episode, I feel that increases, and it's just what I'm meant to be doing. And this just feels right. I think it's right. It feels right. And yeah. And as you say, if anyone asks me now in my place of work, and even when I was working with you, Lee, people say, well, what's Jose about? Well, it's coaching, isn't it? That's what it is about. And that's what I think from a young age, I've always wanted to help people. Through my leadership days, I've always wanted to help people. And that was the common thread, the common denominator. Even we worked together and we called it a coaching team. Well, it wasn't even a coaching team, more a training team. But even then, it was coming out in weird ways that I didn't understand until now. Like Steve Jobs says, connect the dots backwards. If I look back now, it makes total sense that I want to help people. And this is coaching is a skill which really does accelerate people. And that's why I love it so much, because it has that power. And so, yeah, I hope that have I explained where I hope this explained it.
It was really good. In fact, you reminded me of something as well. My own bit with the comfort bit is saying about the podcast. You'll probably remember early on, I was quite incognito about doing this with you. I didn't really tell people about it because I thought they might be, and not because of the content, more from the, well, why are you doing that? No one's going to listen to you, blah, 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 blah. All that sort, the stuff you get hit with whenever you try anything outside the box. And for quite a while, there was that aspect to what we're doing. Whereas now, the second I get an in to talk to someone about it, I'm like, right. In fact, I was out with some family earlier in the week and I was talking to my cousin about it, and we were going through and I showed him the YouTube page and the downloads and asking loads of questions about it, and it's now kind of the other end of the spectrum, as you like, because again, I'm more comfortable with, no, this, I'm doing this because I like doing this. And, you know, people are sceptical as they are with all sorts of things in life, and I just hit that head on, and that's definitely part of that comfort zone in, you know, this is what I do, this is part of my makeup.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that.
Maybe pop that back in my head there.
Yeah, when you first started, I mean, I actually had to make a conscious effort. So we're doing a podcast like that. I would still find it a little bit uncomfortable. I'd be before I'd, you know, if I'd gone back to my young days, I would have been really like, oh, you know, I can't tell. But I still told people about it because it's something that I still felt a bit uncomfortable when we started it, because it's like really new, isn't it? You're thinking, oh, what are people going to think? But I forced myself to go, no, this is why I do a podcast. And but no, I get what you mean totally. So I totally agree with you. And that a bit for me, that rose up a bit for me as well. Not to say that it didn't, because it did. And again, it's part of the growth. And I think this is what gives us this confidence.
And I've got a number of people who just listen to a little bit of one off the back of a conversation, and almost always they come back with at least one question. Oh, what do you think about this? Or it's interesting you do this. Or I thought about that. And it all, you know, it's a really good conversation. You just have to get people through the door to have a bit of a listen to it.
I totally agree, Lee.
And number 3 then, Joe. Would you like to take a guess at the third C?
Oh, God, I don't know what it might be. Confidence, comfort. I've got no idea, Lee.
It's the one that ties all of these together.
Oh, really? Character?
Courage.
Oh, like that.
And I think this is my I just use my crutch here. I use that a lot when I listen back to myself. I'll be like, oh, you don't know what I'm saying. It's just my little filler in the middle of the conversation. So, you know, we've talked about this in loads of previous podcasts before, but it is that comfort in taking a risk, having an idea and putting yourself forward, and knowing it might not work, and knowing it could work, but being prepared to take that chance. And I say put something on the line. More often than not, what you put on the line is just your own pride that something doesn't work and you've invested a bit of time in it, or you've put something publicly out there and it's not seen. And, you know, sometimes it is money, sometimes it is other things, but a lot of the time the risk is that personal inside, this might fail risk. And again, I just think of all the 3, and they're intrinsically linked. I think they all support each other, like in the circle. But of all the 3, this is the one I really wish I could push back and have had a bit more conviction to push ahead with ideas, or try things, or take risks, or go and talk to people, or whatever that thing is. I told my well-worn story of not going out of a band after a gig once and always regretting not doing that. But I think it all comes back to that preparedness just to put yourself out there. And again, I think it comes with experience and it comes with time, and some people get early on, some people get it later. It always builds, but it's another one of those things I wish I could just distill and pass back down the line and have when I was younger.
Well, you've got to put opportunity to do that with the next generation, haven't you?
Yes.
So this is the beauty of it, isn't it? It's the beauty of it, and it's do it in the way which encourages. Yeah, of course. So, Lee, yeah. So, in terms of courage, I totally agree on courage side, and Lee's going off to do a little bit, so I'm going to just carry this for a little bit. Courage, I totally agree. I think it's something that you do build over time, and it's something that you do have to take risks. We took risks with the podcast that people have laughed. And Tony Robbins talks about, you know, when you do something new, people start laughing at you, but then they'll accept it. And then as soon as it succeeds, they'll pat you on the back. So there's 3 elements to this. 1, they'll laugh at you when you start to launch it. 2, as I say, there's an element of acceptance. Oh, they're doing it. And then 3, once you start to crush it, once it starts to take off, then people start to congratulate you. Oh, I knew it would work. But there's no guarantee. Even now, there's no guarantee that this will work. So it's really important that when you believe in something, you take that leap. And again, Simon Squid talks about it all the time. Luck is a skill, but he talks about luck being a skill because you take risks. So that's where courage is needed to take that first step. And it's always the first step, which is the hardest step, where you put yourself on the line, you put everything on the line, And you go, okay, well, what's the worst that can happen? Well, people don't listen. Well, that's fine. People don't watch the videos. That's fine. Well, at least one person does. Then that's a win, right? And we did set that as the bar.
That was the goal,
right?
wasn't it? Just one person.
Yeah, and we've had multiple downloads, loads of views. Things have taken off.
You getting recognised by a stranger in public.
Yeah, and so courage is needed. And as you said, if you could give it to your younger self, it would be great. And I think that's why coaching's so powerful. I was even having a session today where I was doing an action learning set with leaders, and you would not believe, the things that hold people back still, things like perfectionism, things like that, and having the courage to acknowledge your own things that hold you back and then step through them. That's what coaching does. It helps you develop a plan to step through through the fear into the courage, right? So Susan Jeffers, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, is a great book. So that speaks to this particular C as well. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That's what's important, because you're always going to have an element of fear. There are things that are going to go wrong, but if you are committed to it, then you've got the best chance. There's no guarantee of success, of course there's not, but if you persist long enough, you've got a greater chance of it succeeding. So, not Simon Squibb, but Simon Sinek talks about, if you want to build something, it will take time. There's a lot of pushing that goes on, but once it gets to some sort of swing point, I don't know what they call it, swing point or something, it will start to create its own momentum, and that's what we're aiming for. We keep pushing, and we want more people to listen, to get impacted by this, so we can continue. But we are courageous. We are doing this irrespective of what happens. Even if Lee's coming back from his wedding honeymoon and saying, I'm jet lagged, he's still doing it. And again, Lee could just easily have said, oh, do you know what, I'm just too tired, I'm not going to do this, and to blow it off. But no, he's going to step in there and step through that uncomfortableness and tiredness and doing it. And that's what it takes. If you want something to be great, you have to be able to push through those fears and struggles, because that's what creates you. That creates you. That provides character. If you can push through if you can acknowledge what those excuses are and know that they are holding you back, but you acknowledge them and you push through them, one, you're going to start defeating your excuses, and two, it's going to build character, and you'll be the type of person, you're putting a vote, and James Clear talked about this, you're putting a vote in the box for the person you want to become. And that's what it's all about. This is what this podcast is all about, being inspired and taking inspired action. And so that's what we're doing. We're sharing our experiences with you, and we've been quite crazy ourselves to share, because some of the stuff isn't great, right? Some of the stuff we've done is terrible, in terms of we've just not won or succeeded. And I remember, Lee, you saying about a story about when you ran a hotel and you did this services thing, I think it was, and you just didn't pursue it. Had you pursued it, you think it would have worked well, because you already had some leads. And there was that, I don't know how old you were, but I think you're pretty young. You must have been early 20s.
Oh, I think I was even like 19, maybe. 19.
So that's what I'm talking about. So that's that courage thing, isn't it? Sorry, Lee, you're going to say something. Was you going to add to that?
No. I was just concerned the age bit. It was very, very young.
Yeah, and that potentially could have been amazing, couldn't it? But you didn't step on it because of the whole thing about the courage, the fear of what people think, all the risks and stuff. So what I would encourage you is not to take. So what this is all about, it's not about taking silly risks. It's like, it's about taking a risk but minimising all the downsides you can. That's what great people do. They take a risk and they know there's risk, but they try and minimise all the downsides. You can't control everything, but you can control what you control. So that's what we do. That's what you do. You go, okay, what could happen? Okay, how can I mitigate that? Right, I can't mitigate everything, but I can mitigate quite a bit of that. Right, let's just go forward and try this. And that's when great companies are born. That's when great people accelerate, because they are willing to push past their limitations through courage. And in fact, there was a guy, double amputee, went up Everest, I think, the other week. I think so inspiring. And that's why I love inspiration. This is why it's called Inspiration Nation, because I'm inspired by people who do amazing things, and I want to get a bit of that. I want to have just at least 1% of it, like David Goggins, going through a marine and going through Hell Week 3 times, and one of them with a broken leg. Like, if someone like that can do something like that, then there's hope for us all to do the things that we want to do. There was even, I've got a book called by Jim Collins called Good to Great, and he reminded me, I was reading it, it reminded me of the story of Viktor Frankl in a concentration camp and saying how he got through. And there's another sort of very similar story where, you know, a similar thing happened, that they survived a concentration camp by the sheer fact that they will get through it. They don't know when, but they will get through it. It was all about not saying, oh, I'm going to just survive till Christmas. It was like, no, we just got to persist every day. Just got to keep on it. We don't know when we're going to come out, but we just got to keep on it every day, and just knowing and having belief that one day this will happen. And I think that for me was really inspiring, that if you chase your goals and dreams down, what is a better life? You know, even if it didn't happen, think about this for a moment. A great life is pursuing the things that you love, right? And you're passionate about, because that's the life. It's the now. Yes. It's, oh, we're doing this now because we really enjoy and love it. The results, of course we'd love results, but that's not the thing. The thing is the effort. The thing is the doing it. We should be enjoying it, not for the results, but because we enjoy it. And I think that's where the key is. And the book Good to Great talks about a hedgehog concept, and I'm going to reference that. That's another thing that I want to share with the nation.
We're going to add that one to the list, are we?
Yeah, I'm going to add it. It's really good. And I tell you, this is how companies go from good to great. And it's a really powerful concept. Anyway, I've gone on a bit about courage, but there's a lot of courage at everything, for companies, for individuals, for young people. This applies to everybody. No matter how old you are, I think we can always have a bit more courage, right? I think Lee's checking some messages there.
I was just scanning through the TikTok. Loads of great people get involved. Lots of likes as well, Joe. It's very, very good.
Oh, look at that. 657. It's great.
I can't multitask, as has been established. Thank you for that. We're also seamless there, Joe. I thank you, but we need to acknowledge it, because if you are audio, if you're listening live with us on TikTok, you will not have noticed a thing. If you're watching with us live right now on YouTube, as some are, or if you are watching later on YouTube, you'll have seen me disappear from the screen for 2 minutes, but Joe carried us through seamlessly, so thank you for that.
You're more than welcome.
In the old days, we'd have stopped, we'd have cut that out, we'd have started re-recording. Now we just run with it because we are comfortable.
Oh, I love that. It is, isn't it? It's the practice as well, isn't it? This is like the work we're doing right now. You know, the podcast is getting better and better and better. That's because we're going to the gym. Like, it's like lifting the weights, isn't it?
Reps,
you know,
getting the reps in.
Get the reps in. This is another episode's another rep, right? It's another rep. It's another rep, and each episode we get a little bit stronger. There's 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%, and that's what it's at. Those small incremental shifts, which will shift you. You may not notice it on the daily or the weekly, but you'll notice it definitely in the yearly. So yeah, I love this, Lee. I've really enjoyed this. I think this is another great framework that you can add to the toolbox for the nation. I love it.
Hand in hand, confidence, comfort, courage. 3 things to focus on, and 3 things you should have in abundance, and find ways to make that happen for you.
The number 3 thing seems to be a very constant theme, doesn't it? Because we had the 3 hobbies, now we've got the 3 C's. I don't know, some sort of thread running through this. I don't know what it is. We'll look back in 10 years and we'll go, oh, do you remember that 3?
All the 3s. Why is everything a 3? Get more creative. Come out of a 5 and a 2 sometime.
Maybe, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, thank you for that, Joe. Appreciate the feedback on that as well. Hopefully it's been inspirational for those out there listening. My quick bit of shilling at the end, because we do appreciate everyone out there in the nation. Check us out on social media at Listen to Oin, Listen TOIN. I did post earlier that we were going live. If you follow us, you will find out each and every week when you are, and you can join us. I may have forgotten to actually post a link to the live, and then panically sent the link about 5 minutes later, but it all works itself out. Joe, of course, just at Jose Noya-Inspiration Nation. Stick that name in your Google machine. He is on every platform there is. He is all over Twitter. He's all over TikTok. I think he's still actually on MySpace and Bebo and Friends Reunited and anything else you can think of
and
as well.
Don't forget Vine.
Vine. It's not even a thing anymore, is it?
No, it got deleted, didn't it? Yeah.
But he's all over there. You can follow him. Check us out as well, inspirationnation.org.uk. Merchandise, coaching service, full archive, and most importantly, you can sign up for Joe's newsletter as if you cannot get enough of him. I think that's it. We're out of time now, Joe.
I've got one thing to ask. We've got 7 minutes left, so we're not going to take 7 minutes, but I just wanted to ask you something that we were doing, and then we sort of stopped. I don't know why. So, Lee, the question is, what's been your biggest takeaway from this conversation?
obviously it's my topic, so it's hard to say, but on the reflection piece, definitely the courage bit. And I suppose in a way it's reminding myself of the things I wish I'd have been more courageous with to make sure I am going forward. That will be my takeaway.
Nice.
For you, Jose?
For me, is to take these 3 C's and to continue to apply them even when I'm not feeling confident or comfortable or courageous. And how can I tap into this? Because there will be times when I'm in a situation where I'm not comfortable. Like if, say, for instance, something happens in my work or the podcast, I want to hold on to this and go, this is when these 3 C's are important, when it's difficult and tough. Because it's when you're feeling confident right now and comfortable, it's okay, we can talk about it, right? But it's when we are challenged.
Yes.
How can we think of this? So that for me is the big takeaway. It's like holding this true to myself when I feel challenged. And that's the big takeaway for me. How do I continue the momentum? Because life's going to kick me in the balls. I know that. Life's going to come along, going to kick me in the balls again at some point. So how can I use this, when that happens? Like, how do I become like self and consciously aware to be courageous in the time when I'm not feeling courageous, or trying to be a bit more confident, or when I'm not that confident? And actually, what comfort do I need? Just go into myself like you do, Lee, and go, okay, just be myself in this moment, be honest and true to myself in this moment, and not try and be anything other than that. Those are the things, that's the real big takeaway for me today. Really, really enjoyed this, Lee.
Thank you. Appreciate all that as well. Very good summing up at the end there. As you said, appreciate everyone out there. We will be back again next week. Follow us on TikTok or YouTube. Hit subscribe, leave positive reviews, all that good stuff. We will notify you when we are going live. And I think all that's left for me to do is count us down. 3, 2, 1. Inspiration Nation.
Inspiration Nation.
Catch you guys later.
So that TikTok. Have an amazing evening.